So welcome for our Bhakti Shastri discussions. Right now we are in Bhagavadgita second chapter. We have covered up till 17 or 18. Any of you please confirm?
17, Prabhu. 17.
Okay, thank you. So today we will take it ahead from there, and we are currently in the second part of the second chapter. The first part, which was about Arjuna's surrender, his further doubts and surrender, we had covered it in the earlier session, and in the last session we started to discuss about the Atma Jnana, which Krishna speaks, the very first part of his Bhagavad Gita knowledge. So before we start, let's offer our prayers to Guru Parampara. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmeditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Nama Om Vishwapadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Let's offer our prayers to the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, by reciting the shloka. Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Amrita Duhe Namaha. So, it is also a very special occasion tomorrow, Sri Radhashtami, Srimati Radharani's appearance. Radha and Krishna are one, Ekatma. Yet they have separated themselves just to exchange that love, that rasa. Srimati Radharani is the abode of love, and Krishna is the abode of rasa. So there is, it's a very important festival for especially Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, the Gaudiyas firm adherents to Srimati Radharani. So it's a very special occasion. I believe you will also have a lot of wonderful katha and festivities tomorrow at your place. So my hearty wishes for Srimati Radharani's festival. May Srimati Radharani bless us all with the attitude of service, a fraction of attitude of service which she epitomizes in her service to Krishna. There are so many prayers to Srimati Radharani, one of them being Radhikashtakam, Mahyamatma, Pada Padma, Dasya Dastu Radhika. And Srimati Radharani is considered as the one whom one has to realize by studying Shastra. She is the Ishwari, Pramana Shasaneshwari. Like that, there are so many unlimited glories. So by remembering her mercy, seeking her mercy, we start today's discussion. So we were in that second chapter. We had in fact completed almost the first few shlokas of this chapter. I just want to show you the sections. As you're seeing on the screen, the first part, which is Arjuna's surrender, we saw. We recited that shloka Karpanya Dosho Pahata Swabhava. And after that, from shloka number 11 up till 30, it is a Sankhya, or also called Jnana. So there are many point of view which Krishna puts in front of Arjuna, and he systematically addresses the arguments or the reasons which Arjuna had given for not fighting. There were 5 of them. Let's quickly recollect. The 5.
So it is eternal.
No, the 5 reasons for
Compassion,
by Arjuna to not fight.
compassion, enjoyment,
We can say bodily compassion to be exact.
compassion.
And
Loss of
And-
life.
loss of enjoyment. Very good.
Sinful activity.
Fear of sinful reactions. Very right.
Indecision.
Indecision was the 5th one. There was one more in the middle.
Destruction of family
Family.
traditions.
And each of them actually addressed to one reason. The Jnana section actually addresses to the bodily compassion reason which Arjuna gave. It defeats that argument or reason. Karma Kanda, it addresses the loss of enjoyment reason. Buddhi Yoga, also called Karma Yoga, it addresses it in fact defeats the reason of fear of sinful reactions. And like this, there are 3 of them important reasons which are defeated by Krishna in his reasoning in this chapter. The 4th will be discussed in the next chapter, and the 5th, it's something which Arjuna overcomes by the end of entire Bhagavadgita, that is indecision. So last time I was also saying that we will have this habit of reciting these shlokas. So let's do them together. We will do together. You can unmute and chant with me. That will be a good practice. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava gachami tvam dharma sammudacheta yat shreyasyanishtam brudhi me shishyaste kadimam tvam prapannam dehinosmin yatha dehi kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehanantara prapte I'm not shown the next one. Sorry, I missed it. We'll do that next time. So right now we are in the section of how one is not this body but his soul, and how that argument and that premise gives an impetus to fight for Arjuna, that we are seeing. So let us quickly revise. I request other devotees to mute because there is disturbance. So let us revise the characteristics of soul which Krishna has explained from shloka number 11. So far we have come till 17. So any of you please recollect what are all the qualities of the soul he has explained so far. Yes.
Soul is eternal.
Eternal, very good.
Soul is individual.
Individual, eternal and individual, they came in one shloka only. Yes, then?
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change, that's true. Yeah.
And that is within the body.
Yeah, the soul present within the body, but it is different from the body.
Yes.
It doesn't change, very right. Anyone else?
And
It moves from one.
It can't be measured.
It can't be measured, very right. Though, of course, that shloka will come in 18th more clearly. Aprameya, that's the word. But we also saw that the measure of soul which is given is just to make us understand that how difficult it is to measure. It's an indicative dimension. 1/10,000, the tip of the hair, like that. Yes, immeasurable. 3. Any more?
Soul moves from one body to another body.
Soul moves from one body to dehantara. That also. Yes.
consciousness.
Consciousness. The soul pervades the entire body through consciousness. We understand the presence of soul by consciousness. Very right. Anything more? Anything more?
Soul spread all over a particular body.
Soul is spread all over the body. I would like to remind all of you, there was one example Prabhupada told of a medicine.
Yeah.
Can you recollect?
Yes.
If you have a body pain, we take small tablet. It will relieve the entire pain of the body.
Yeah. So what does it show, Prabhu, with respect to soul?
The soul is very tiny,
Takes in
like
the
a
heart.
tablet, but it can reduce the whole body pain,
Like medicine.
like medicine. And soul is very tiny, but it drag, or you can say it control the body or mind.
Yeah, right. Thank you. I think another devotee wanted to speak. They spoke in middle. Okay. Same thing. Okay. So if you remember, there was this discussion about how the influence of the soul is throughout the body. The influence of the soul. Just like the influence of the little medicine we take, it is for the entire body, though the medicine as such is so small in size. When it is possible for something material, why not for spiritual? Prabhupada says. So this current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that's the proof of the presence of soul. We have seen this in the last purport, 17th purport. So it's a very important analogy to remember. So let's go to the shloka number 18. So we did the 17 one. Let's go to the 18. Who would like to read today after we recite the shloka?
I
Who
will
will
read.
read? Okay, so please. Let's recite the shloka. Antavanta ime deha
Anta ime deha
nityasyokta sharirina
नित्युत्सोक्ता शरीरिणा
anashino aprameyasya
अनाशिनो
Anashino
अप्रमेयस्य
tasmad yudhyasva bharata.
तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत.
So if you remember, there was one shloka, two shlokas before this, the 16th number shloka, where it was told the contrast between body and soul, the nature of body, nature of soul. The body, which is called asat, it doesn't have endurance. There was that word which was mentioned. And the soul, which is called sat, it doesn't have any change. It is unchanging. And body is always changing. Na bhavo, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. So that shloka is the seed for the next two shlokas. So that shloka's word, which is na bhavo vidyate sataha, that is how the soul doesn't change, was discussed in the last shloka, that is 17. Now in 18, another line of that 16th shloka is described, that is nasato vidyate bhava, how the body doesn't have endurance. It cannot sustain. It changes. Inevitably, the body is always changing. So it says, you see, antavanta. Antavanta means that which has an end. Anta means end. So what ends? The deha ends. It is always going to meet its end. That means it's going to get destroyed. But shariri, like the word dehi. Any of you can guess what is dehi? We saw this word.
which reside within the deha.
In the body or the deha. Like that, shariri means soul. But the shariri, the soul is nitya. It is eternal. But the deha is, it is not eternal. It has an end, anta. And the shariri, the soul, has further quality like anashina. It doesn't get destroyed. Aprameya. Aprameya means immeasurable. Like we were talking about the size of the soul in the earlier purport. And we also discussed about this, that how by material means one cannot conceive of the soul, understand about this. So it is immeasurable. No material instrument can measure this. So like this, Krishna describes the qualities. Please read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata.
Oh, descendant of Bharata, fight, because the body is inevitably going to meet its end. You are thinking that you want to save Bhishma and Drona by not fighting against them or by not killing them. But know this, that their body is anyway going to meet its end. If you fight, or whether you fight and kill them or otherwise, they are sure to die. So Prabhupada says, please read the highlighted part, the material body.
The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely.
Continue. It is so
It is
small.
so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So, from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation because the living entity as he is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected.
Protected. See this? Very interesting. Both the viewpoints. What are the both viewpoints? One viewpoint is from the body. Another viewpoint is from the soul. From the body viewpoint, if you see, the body is anyway going to change and meet its end. So, what are we gaining by not fighting in the battle? Anyway, it's going to meet its end. From the viewpoint of the soul can never be harmed. Krishna will say that more grossly later. But it cannot be harmed. So, is it that Bhishma and Drona cease to exist? They will no more exist. Is it like that? No. Krishna told that I exist, you exist, all these kings exist. They always existed in past, in present, and in future also. They will continue to be. So from the viewpoint of the soul and from the viewpoint of the body, Krishna is putting this point that what is the point in not fighting? So this is a very important principle we need to understand, that the body is ever changing. It is in fact taking us to the destruction. The body is going to get destroyed. See, you take anything, say suppose an apple. You take an apple and keep it. Today you see it nicely shining. Tomorrow it will become little dull. After a few days, it starts to shrink and slowly rot and fall away. Everything in this world actually starts decaying and degrading. Is it not? Even our iron kept, that also starts. Everything gets degraded. So there is nothing in this world which doesn't end, especially because it's material. So Prabhupada interestingly tells about how one can understand this. In fact, the presence of soul in the body is what makes the body animate. The soul sustains the body. This is another quality you can see here. The soul, it is not just present in the body. It is not just different from the body, but it sustains the body. It sustains the body. Prabhupada says here, as sunlight sustains the entire universe, similarly, the soul light or the consciousness or the soul shine, if you can say that word, it maintains the entire body, material body. As soon as the soul leaves the body, what happens to the body? It starts to rot. Anytime, whenever we get opportunity, or it inevitably comes when someone who is known to us leaves the body. We see that at the time of their departure, and after they leave the body starts showing such starking qualities. It becomes pale. It starts to, in fact, if there is a disease, something comes out of the body. So that is something which can be very clearly seen. The body begins to decompose. In fact, Shankaracharya says, everyone talks about the body. How are you? How are you? Yavat pavano nivasati dehe Tavat pruchhati kushalam gehe. Till the time life air is in the body, everyone comes, how are you? Chaitanya Prasad Das, how are you? They will come and ask. Yadapi gata vayu. When the vayu goes away, it is so very fearful for everyone. Oh my God, this very same body the person whom I loved and so much, I held him close to my heart, but after the soul leaves, that body becomes so fearful for us. So much so, Shankaracharya says, Bharya bibhyati, means Bharya. Bharya means the wife. The wife who actually found husband's body to be so very dear to her. She was serving that body so long, so much. But when husband's body, soul leaves that body, she becomes very fearful with respect to the same body. This is the stark reality, is it not? So what is it that makes the body so very attractive to everyone? Prahlada says this. What is it that attracts one to the other? It's not the body. It looks so. What is it? It is the soul. That we cannot see, but what attracts us is the soul. So Prabhupada is pointing out how the soul maintains the body, and when the soul leaves the body actually, it shows its actual nature, that is of matter. So body itself is unimportant, and it was advised to fight and not sacrifice the cause of religion for material considerations. So some of these realities are very hard hitting, is it not? But we need to understand them. Krishna says that in the very beginning, the truth which is sometimes very difficult to accept. Nonetheless, the Shastra is uncompromising. Krishna is not compromising anything here. He's telling the true knowledge here. So this is the first step of the knowledge, in fact. So going ahead, he tells the opinion of the great thinkers or people, how they have seen the soul as ya enam vetti hantaram,
Ya enam vetti hantaram,
yaschainam manyate hatam,
Yashainam manyate hatam.
ubhau tau na vijanito,
Ubhau tau na vijanito.
nayam hanti na hanyate.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
Arjuna, you are thinking that you are the one who is killing the other person? No, you are not killing. And you are thinking that you are killing that person? No, that person is also not killed. In this shloka, Krishna, he tells something which really confuses a person. He says, ya enam vetti hantaram. Neither the jiva can kill. Can he become called hanta? Hanta means one who does hatya. Hatya means
Murder.
Murder.
Killing someone.
Hantaka, that's the word. So hatya means kill or to murder. So hanta means one who kills. So neither the jiva is a killer, or another word used is slayer. Or yaschaina manyate hatam. Can the jiva be killed? No, the jiva cannot be killed, and jiva cannot be the killer. The jiva cannot be the slayer or the slave. That's the word, slain. One one should know this properly. Ubhau tau na vijanito. But if those who don't know this, they consider it like that. That yeah, this jiva is killing the other person. This jiva is being killed. That's what we see now from our eyes. Now, what does it mean that the soul is not the killer? Oh, how is it that so? But actually, to say, the point is the soul is covered by a covering which is made up of gross matter, and that gross matter, which is part of Prakriti, that is actually taking the role of harming the other's gross body. So the gross body of one is harming the gross body of the other. But is gross body the person? No. So Krishna is saying neither the killer is the soul or the jiva, or nor the killed is the jiva. So one should know this. Now one may think, oh, that means people will take advantage of this. Oh, I will kill the other person holding a knife. Say suppose an X person goes with a knife and he stabs the other, and he says, I am not the killer. Bhagavadgita says that I am not the killer. This Atma cannot kill, or neither the Atma can be killed. No, whom did I kill? I did not kill anyone. Only the gross body, which is anyway going to die, it fell out. So you cannot punish me. Somebody may argue like this. Are you all getting this logic? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Actually,
Prabhuji.
I was about to ask this question.
So our acharyas, they foresee, and Prabhupada answers this. Let me not discuss that. Let's hear from Prabhupada. Read the translation.
Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain.
So the self, which is called soul, it slays not. Means it cannot kill others, nor is slain. Can it be killed by others? So Prabhupada says in the purport that how the jiva actually, when it's attacked, what is being attacked? The soul is not attacked. The soul is unharmed. So only the gross body is getting affected. So Prabhupada says something. Can you please read the highlighted part?
What is killed or what is supposed to be killed is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is Ma himsyat sarva bhutani. Never commit violence to anyone. Nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abdominal and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically.
So Prabhupada says, what does it say? The same Shastra which explains this also says, never commit violence to anyone. So can we be having this half understanding? No. So the Shastra, it says that one should not cause harm even to the other person's gross body. So no way is the violence or is the murder or is killing encouraged in the Shastras. The killing is done by specifically empowered person who has taken up the role of protection. To protect someone, he may have to stand against those who are causing harm. In that sense, he can kill them. So there is, Prabhupada says about authority. So one should have that authority. One is given that empowerment. Say suppose a police, he can kill. When he's fighting against the terrorists at the border, he should surely kill. If he doesn't kill, then that could be very disastrous for the country. But at the same time, when he's not in his duty, he cannot kill anyone and everyone around his home. That would be considered an offense, a murder, is it not? So when he has that authority, when he's in that role, he is in fact given award for killing. But when he is not in that role, when he's in his civil appearance or role, if he does it, he will be put behind the bars, the same person, is it not? So what gives that power is the authority. The law of the state has to be. So Arjuna here, he is surely advised by the Shastra. He is given that authority to kill the opponents. So we cannot put that blame on Arjuna. So we should understand the context of the discussion. We should not just pull out, oh, here Bhagavad-gita says that Atma cannot be killed and neither the Atma can kill others. So I may use it for my own reasoning and do some wrong activity. That's surely a very immature understanding of Shastra. So one should be very careful when someone hears such justifications of wrong activity, sometimes quoting Shastri. Is that clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Krishna, after telling about this, the soul and the body, who kills, who doesn't kill, what is harmed, what is not harmed. Now he goes on to describe how the body and soul are seen. The body is always changing, the soul is never changing. So both of them he explains in this shloka, very famous shloka. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin.
न
न
जायते
जायते
क्रियते
म्रियते
वा
वा
कदाचिन्
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूय
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूय
अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो
अजो नित्यं
नित्यं
शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो
शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो
न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
न हन्यते
नान्यते
हन्यमाने
हन्यमाने
शरीरे.
शरीरे.
So you can see how many times the word na has come. Na jayate mriyate na ayam bhutva bhavita na bhuyaha na hanyate. Very typical Upanishadic poetry style, that is. Na. So when you have to tell about something, you have to tell what it is not. Otherwise, people get confused. Oh, soul means it's something like body only. No, soul is not like body. How it is not like body? Explained here. The body, it appears to take birth. Jayate. See the word to word meaning. Jayate means
Takes birth.
takes birth. That which takes janma. Jayate. Mriyate. What's
That one dies.
It's not like the body which takes birth and dies. In fact, body undergoes many such stages. It changes. There are some things which happen between birth and death, right? So there are around 6 of them. Krishna Prabhupada will explain that. And it's not that soul is right now here and it's immutable or unchanging. Later it may happen that it will get affected or changed. No, it always exists, the soul, past, present, and future. It is called ajaha. It doesn't have birth. It is nitya, shashvata. It is eternal. It is very old. You cannot even date the soul when it was, when it appeared, because it's eternal, Purana. And it cannot be killed, neither it kills others. Read the translation.
For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He is not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
See, many other religions also talk something about soul. But very strikingly, the description of the soul which comes in Gita is so very deep. It is so detailed. Like in Christianity, there is something about soul there. Those who know can explain it much better. But what I have heard about is that they say something like humans have soul, animals don't have soul. And there is something which they accept as evolution. So when someone takes human birth, that means the soul has taken birth. After that, the human continues to be human. Their understanding is not of falling to animal species if one does wrong. No. So their understanding of soul is that only humans have the soul. In that way, they justify animal killing. They say that there is no soul, so they kill. So this is some understanding of soul there. There is some understanding of soul in Islam, where they say that the future life, one will get some enjoyment. The soul gets that enjoyment, and he continues to be there, or otherwise he will be punished and he will continue to suffer. Like that they say. So in Buddhism, there is some understanding of existence beyond matter. But what it is, it's not very clear. They say that one should attain an existence beyond this body called nirvana. They say that word, nirvana. So, like this, other religions talk about an existence beyond this body, but that understanding is so very incomplete. It's vague. But Krishna gives such a thorough, such a complete understanding. So here he's explaining the soul, how it is different from body. Prabhupada explains, please read this.
He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion.
So one can clearly see these phases in a person, right? He takes birth, we celebrate birthdays, we remember those days, those moments. And he grows, and he becomes an adult, and he's able to produce further offspring. And then that person starts to age, becomes old, his body starts to slowly, not much functional, dwindles, and then at one point dies, right? These are 6 changes which are seen in a body where a soul is present, not where there is no soul. If there is no soul, then there is no changes like this, is it not? So, but the soul, though it is present in the body which is undergoing these changes, it doesn't undergo those changes. The soul is not born. The body is born. Prabhupada explains, the body has past, present, and future. The soul doesn't have past, present. So like this, one can understand how soul is different from the body. As I was telling, this chapter is also called as Atma, Anatma,
Viveka.
Viveka Yoga. So to understand the difference between body and soul is one of the important teachings in this chapter, the fundamental spiritual teaching. So Prabhupada quotes the same Shastra which is even told in another Upanishad, very similar. Na jayate mriyate va vipaschin. That's one word which is changed. Otherwise, everything else is same. Nayam kutaschin na babuva kaschit ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana. So Bhagavadgita, Krishna is actually taking references from many other Vedic literatures. He sometimes quotes the shloka which actually appears in others. Sometimes he makes it more refined. Sometimes he, in fact, presents a very revolutionary concept. We will see that very soon. Called Bhakti Yoga is going to come. Like this, Prabhupada says it's a very similar shloka which is there in Katha Upanishad as well. Now here, he gives a very interesting analogy. Sometimes, we already discussed this. Where is the soul present in the body? Which part or region?
In the heart.
Heart, right? But say suppose someone is doing some surgery or something, surely he will not find the soul there. So how does one understand it? Read the highlighted part.
Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is there for daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all the bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul.
So what is it that shows us the presence of soul?
Consciousness.
Consciousness, right? When early morning, when we go and see the sky, the sun as a surface, or as the planet, as that round object is not yet visible in the sky, but we start seeing that there is so much of light in the sky. It's so bright, sometimes so pleasing actually. Right? So we immediately understand, yes, there is something. Sometimes you don't see the sun at all in the whole day because the clouds are covered. Is it not? So in that sense, do we say that sun is not there? Because the sky is lit up, that shows that sun is surely there. So what is it that shows us soul is present? It is because there is consciousness throughout the body. That is what shows. Otherwise, by material way, we cannot see or measure or understand the spiritual. This is one of the qualities. It is invisible to one's material senses. So Prabhupada explains. In fact, he goes on to describe there is not just one soul in the body, there are two souls. Every body has two souls. What are they? One is called the Jivatma, also called Anu Atma, minute particle soul, the ourselves. And there is super soul, Paramatma, also called Vibhu Atma. Vibhu because he is actually, as last time we saw, he is actually one, but he has expanded just to accompany the Jivatma. He is Vibhu, he is great, one who understands his actual position, how he accompanies the Jivatma. He is not conditioned to the body or material laws like karma, prakriti, like that. He is just accompanying this Jivatma for fulfilling its desires. One who knows this, he in fact becomes free from all this bondage. It's explained in the Shastra like that. So Krishna further continues describing about Atma. How when one knows Atma, he will surely be able to function properly. He will reason properly. Text 21. Veda vinashinam nityam.
Veda vinachinam nityam.
Nityam
Ya enam ajamavyayam.
yaenam ajam
Katham sa purusha partha.
katham sa purushah partha
Kam ghatayati hantikam.
kam ghatayati hantikam.
Arjuna, if one truly understands that the jiva, the soul, is avinashi, it doesn't undergo nasha. Avinashi. Sometimes we have this name for people, Avinash. What does it mean?
Which cannot be destroyed.
That's the name for the soul. Avinasha. So know that the jiva is avinashi. He is nitya. He is aja. He is avyaya. See, I'm explaining these words because you have to become familiar with this. All of us are studying Gita, so we should know the meaning of words which Krishna has used literally. So aja means
Which does not take birth,
Non-birth.
unborn,
avyaya means avyaya.
unmanifested? No.
No, that is
Which
avyaya.
will-
That is, but
Which
avyaya.
cannot, it's like indestructible, we cannot be.
Yeah. Have you used this word vyaya? Like apavyaya. This word is here.
Waste. Yes.
Apavyaya means
Spending.
spending, wrongly spending.
Spending.
Vyaya means to spend. Apavyaya, apavyaya mat karo. Don't spend uselessly. So vyaya means that you spend, or when you spend, it reduces, right? That's why we worry about spending. So avyaya means that which doesn't reduce. It is always like. So avyaya. So these words, please become familiar with them. You should be able to use these words in your answers, in your descriptions, explanations. So one who knows that the soul is like this, avinashi, nitya, ajam, avyayam, how could he, katham sa purushah partha, how could he kill other person or think that he's killed by other person? Kam ghatayati hantikam. How is it that he can think like this? Please is it okay? Someone else can also take up reading. Thank you, Mataji, read for so long.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to
Cause
kill?
anyone to kill? How could one who knows truly the nature of the soul, how can he kill others, thinking that I'm going to kill that very existence of that person? How can he think of killing? And how can he fear that, oh, I will be killed, I will be killed? No, he always exists. Like I was telling about Socrates. Did I say that?
Yes, Prabhu.
Socrates
Yes,
is
Prabhuji.
the standing of soul, was so fearless at the time of death. So this doesn't mean that one doesn't have a purpose of violence. There is a very famous teacher, or in fact, a very great person of India, who says that the message of Gita is ahimsa.
Mahatma Gandhi.
No,
Abdul Kalam.
you can consider the names as you wish, but please know, is that the message? No,
No.
that's not the case. People may clap hands for such a very appealing, or it pleases their ears. Yeah, Gita talks about non-violence. The message of India is ahimsa. No, that's not the case. In this world where people are so very varied in their understandings, and when especially you have to protect your body by whose help you can attain God. So how can one have such an understanding? That's very wrong. So Prabhupada says here, in fact, Prabhupada was a great follower of this person, is it not? But later, when he himself understood, it's told that in Lilamrita it comes, Prabhupada writes letters to him. Please, you have great respect for Gita, but understand it from proper guru. He tells non-violence is not the message of Gita. Do not fool people of India by saying so. And you yourself will have such an end. Prabhupada warns him. But he unfortunately had an end by violence only. See? So Prabhupada says here, read Prabhu, the highlighted part.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person commend,
Tempt.
condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice.
So this is a very important analogy. So justice of peace, someone who is giving judgments. So he is telling that, oh, this person, he will be punished. He will be sent to prison for so many years. He will be punished. He will be penalized. In fact, sometimes he can even give death sentence. But is he punished? Oh, or is it that he will be held accountable? You are causing the other person violence. No, because he is following that duty. He can even sometimes give capital punishment, which is like death sentence. So similarly, when Krishna is ordering Arjuna to fight, it is like Arjuna is being told, the supreme judge, justice of peace is Krishna himself, and he is telling Arjuna, you should do this. So following Krishna's order, it will not attract any reaction for Arjuna. That's the point here explained. The justice of punishment, of the peace, one who awards the punishment. And there is a further, Prabhupada also says, the king's punishment, sometimes even the king can punish other culprit by giving him death sentence. But such a punishment is actually for the benefit of the culprit. You see, someone who has done a crime, if you don't punish him, if the person is not punished, then that very thought of committing crime, it increases. And the act of his crimes, they will react on him in very bad way in future. But when he is given punishment, he is made to realize that he did a wrong act. Then the future reactions will be greatly reduced. In that sense, when the punishment is given to a criminal, it is for his own benefit. Is it not? So similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that the violence is for justice and Arjuna should follow the instruction. Yeah. And in fact, Prabhupada gives another analogy to explain this. An analogy of a surgeon. A surgeon who is causing violence. See, both are actually causing violence. The judge is actually giving an order of violence to harm that person. The king is also sending punishment for that criminal. And here, surgeon, he is cutting the body of the patient. Wow, he is doing violence. Don't do violence. Gita says, don't do violence. If one says it, then he will see the patient suffering and dying in front of his eyes. So the patient has to be treated and cured. The operation which the person is doing is not for killing the patient. The patient, who is like the soul, can never be killed, is it not? He is cured of his wrong attitude by punishing him about taking away the gross body and making him understand about it. So, Prabhupada is telling these analogies. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is with full knowledge. So, there is no possibility of sinful reaction. So, there are two examples given here. Let's quickly see them. What was the first example of proper use of violence?
Justice of the peace.
Justice of the peace. The violence which justice of the peace or even king, both similar lines, doesn't attract any reactions. What was the second example?
Surgical operation.
Surgical operation.
Surgical operation. A surgeon also is committing violence in one sense, but it is to help that person. So the principle told in the scripture, in the purport, let's see that again. Violence has its utility. Read this, Prabhu, again. And how?
And how to apply violence best with the person in knowledge.
In knowledge. That's the key. We already read this anyway. So just this important line I wanted to show. Violence has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. One doesn't have knowledge, he cannot use anything for good purpose. Is it not? So violence has its utility to rectify, to punish the criminal and make him realize the wrong act. It has its utility. So one cannot say non-violence is the absolute principle. That is the central message. No. In fact, the central message of Gita is, surrender to Krishna and following the orders of Krishna. It's not non-violence or violence. When we follow non-violence, disobeying the order of Krishna, that is against Bhagavad. When we commit violence, disobeying the orders of Krishna, that is also against Gita. So what is according to Gita is to follow the orders of Krishna. That is the central message. So Krishna told here, fight. He told Arjuna to fight. So to follow him, his order is the message of Gita. Will not attract any reactions like that. Now Krishna gives a very interesting example, very famous example to help us understand this body and soul. Very basic learning we understand in very beginning satsangs. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya.
वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय
Navani grihnati naroparaణि.
Navani grahnati naroparaణि.
Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani.
Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani.
Anyani samyati navani dehi.
Anyani sanyati navani dehi.
See what the word very famous shloka. You all must have learned this, in fact, explained this to others also. So the word used here is Vasa. Vasa means many meanings. Vasa means a place to stay, like Nivasa, Srinivasa. Vasa also means dress. Like it's told in one of the famous songs about Srimati Radharani that she wears the dress which is blue in color. You know why?
Because Krishna's color is blue.
Because she wants to remember Krishna. Do you know why Krishna wears yellow?
Because Radharani's is golden yellow.
So Vasa, there the word comes Sunila Vasa. That's the word for Srimati Radharani. Neela Vasa. Anyway, Srimati Radharani is tomorrow. There is festival of mercy. Vasamsi Jirnani. Jirna means Jirna ho gaya. Jirna ho gaya matlab, oh, it has worn out, you know. It is no more useful now. It's not fit to use. Vasamsi Jirnani, when the body, when the cloth one has on his body becomes not fit for use, what will one do? Vihaya. What is Vihaya?
Giving up.
Giving up. Vihaya. So what will he do? Navani grihnati. He will accept new. Nava means new ones. New cloth he will accept. Right? Tatha. Yatha. Tatha. Jaise वैसे. जैसे हम you know शरीर के वस्त्र बदलते हैं. We change our body dress. Right? Similarly, sharirani vihaya jirnani. Similarly, when the body becomes no more useful for to live in, one leaves that body. The soul has to leave that body and take navani dehi. He takes a new body. And the soul goes to a new body. Anyani samyati navani dehi. Read the translation, Prabhu.
As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Yeah. So Prabhupada says in the purport that the body's changing is something so very evident. It's so easily visible. Whether one follows spiritual path or not, it is clearly seen that how his body is changing. It was so beautiful, lustrous, strong body, but later it becomes old, diseased, not much capacity. One can see that especially old people can easily understand the changing body. Sometimes in youth, we are so proud. Yeah, I can do what is there which I cannot do. Have that passion. But after some time, oh, I think I have my back pains now. You know, we give that complaint. I have my knee pain, back pain. So many pains body gives. So the body changes. That is something which is so very evident. Everyone accepts it. Yeah. But how does the soul change from one body to another body? Prabhupada gives an explanation. Read this, Prabhu.
Transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the super soul. The super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another.
So you can clearly see here, the super soul is the one who is helping the soul to move from one to other, from one body to another. So as the shloka itself says this very clearly in the words that one has to change his body. You can see this very famous photo, the soul, the Atma is moving from this body, like he's leaving the cloth here, and he's taking different bodies. Many bodies he can take. 8.4 million types of bodies are available, or the cloths are available. So we have seen so far that the Atma actually is situated in the region of heart. This photo is actually very, it's for indication purpose only. It's not that exactly soul is like this. So the soul is situated in the region of heart. Is like the driver of the body. If the body is compared to a vehicle, he is the driver of the body. The body itself is like a mechanical parts of the vehicle. The eyes, the hands, legs. Prabhupada gives this example. And there is one co-passenger with the Atma. Who is that?
Paramatma.
Vibhu Atma. We saw that earlier, right? So this is one thing we have seen. Now, Prabhupada, he describes, okay, another example, the Shastra very famously tells. In the body, which is like a tree, there are two birds. One bird, very active. He's so very busy in searching for fruits. He's eating fruits. From one branch, he takes one, jumps another fruit, another fruit. Some fruits are bitter, some fruits are sour, some fruits are tasty, some fruits are, many ways they are reactions. Other bird is practically passive. He's just seeing the bird which is active. Who are these two birds? The Shastra explains.
Soul and super soul.
Jivatma and Paramatma.
So the active bird is
The soul.
Individual soul.
the individual soul. The tree itself is like this material existence, and those fruits are like the fruitive reactions, the karma phala. The bird is passively seeing to the active bird, it is Paramatma. He is not eager to act in this world. He is having no interest in this world. His interest is only with that other fellow bird. You actually have to be with me, oh my friend. That's true enjoyment for you. But you are busy in eating these fruits which are simply making you attached to this tree, and they are not at all pleasing and enduring. So he's seeing when the bird becomes little interested in its other partner, then he becomes ready to hear the other bird, which is the message of God, like this Bhagavadgita. So Prabhupada explains this in this purport, you see. He explains the whole thing, compares the soul and super soul to the bird sitting on the same tree. Actually, this is coming from a very Upanishadic verse, which is quoted way below. Samane
Prabhuji,
vriksha.
before you start, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
The line, it is said the super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another one. So it means ki, like, according to our karmas, he decide which body has to move.
Correct.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yes. According to our karma. So when super soul is fulfilling the desire, he sees actually what is it that this jiva deserves. And if his desire is according to what he deserves, that is sanctioned. Desire and deserve, these two principles are there.
Okay.
Anything which a jiva desires is not fulfilled.
Yes.
That's the point, actually. It is going to come in third chapter more clearly, the karma aspect. Here,
Sure.
Prabhupada is just explaining how super soul facilitates, fulfills the desire of the jiva. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
So, Prabhupada, he is explaining an Upanishadic verse, which is explaining the analogy of soul and super soul as the birds. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno. In one vriksha, which is this material existence, there is one purusha, the jiva, who is nimagna, who is always engaged. And he, in fact, is so engaged, so active. Sometimes he's lamenting, he's confused. But another bird is just witnessing. Pashyati anyamisham. Is Isha, that is Paramatma. And one who knows this particular state of these two birds, oh, Paramatma is just wishing well for the Atma. He's there, waiting patiently. When will this bird turn toward me so that I can give him true knowledge and take him back home? So, although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is full of anxiety and moroseness. Prabhu, can we read this?
More senseless of the as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or other he turns his face to his friend, who is the Lord and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties.
So when one turns towards that super soul, then one can be free from all anxieties. Now Arjuna has turned towards his friend Krishna. Arjuna is playing the role of that active bird, the Jivatma who is suffering in this world. And Krishna is patiently waiting. When he was asked, he is giving the knowledge. So Arjuna is advised here, do not lament, O Arjuna. I know Krishna is advising Arjuna, do not lament, like that bird was lamenting. So you are thinking that you're going to kill your teacher and grandfather. No, that's not the case. And you cannot kill. Their bodies anyway are going to be put to end. Like this cloths which we wear. At one point, we have to change the cloth. We cannot say that I always wear this cloth. Oh, sometimes children do this. I will always wear this cloth. They're sleeping, they wear the same cloth. Next day also, I like this cloth. I like this shirt a lot. I'll wear it. I'll wear it. But after some time, the shirt is no more fit for that child. The child has grown. The shirt has torn. And after that, he himself will say, no, I want a new one, Mama. Please tell me, give me another one. Is it not? So we cannot hold on to our body. It changes. It's inevitably change. We are helplessly forced to change our body. That's the point. And in fact, he says, this one who is wearing this dress, he can never be changed. He can never be harmed. Very famous verse. Nainam chindanti shastrani.
Nainam
Nainam dahati pavaka.
Nainam dahati pavakah.
Na chainam kledayantyaapo.
Chainam kledayantapo.
Na shoshayati maruta. Before I take this shloka, let me quickly revise the qualities we have seen so far in our today's discussion. So we were at 17th shloka where we had stopped with that immeasurable. That was one quality we have seen. In fact, in 18 also that word came. Avinashi, aprameyasya, avinashi, immeasurable. After that, I was telling how it's the soul which maintains the body. Soul is maintaining the body. And in the shloka where we saw about najayate mriyate, the body undergoes 6 changes, but soul doesn't change. In contrast to the body, which is always changing. Same quality, but in different ways, Krishna is explaining. Sometimes some qualities are repeated, just so that it's clearly understood. And now, after that, he described about this cloth analogy, like that. But now here, Krishna describes that no weapon, no type of weapon, materially made, can harm the soul. What all types of weapon? A weapon which can cut, a sharp weapon. A weapon which can burn. Say, suppose you put the person on fire. The soul can never be burned. The body can be burned. Nainam chindanti shastrani. You cannot cut the soul. You can cut the body, but you cannot cut the soul. Nainam dahati pavaka. Pavaka means, see the word meaning? Pavaka.
Pure
Fire.
You cannot burn the fire, burn the soul by fire. Na kledayanti apaha. Apaha means water. Kledayanti means
To wet.
to wet. So there are very subtler and subtler weapons. Weapons which are gross, they can be overcome by subtler weapons. Like there are weapons of fire, there are weapons of water. There are weapons of wind. We sometimes hear them in Shastra. Someone uses Vayavyastra, Varunastra, Agneyastra. Arjuna knew all of them. But so many astras, so Arjuna, but know this, that no astra can harm the soul. Prabhupada, please read the translation from the soul.
The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
Yeah. So, like this, the soul cannot be harmed by any weapon. That quality is shown in this particular shloka. Prabhupada in the purport tells about different types of weapon. No type of weapon can kill the soul. Be it swords, flame weapon, rain weapon, tornadoes, this fire weapons, the thunders, which is actually a fire weapon. Rain weapons, like thunderstorm, of course, Vajra, which Indra uses, tornadoes, many subtler weapons. This cannot harm the soul in any way. Prabhupada tells about nowadays we think nuclear weapons are the most sophisticated weapons, but there are weapons which are far, far subtler than that also. We may not have much knowledge about them, but know this one thing, that soul cannot be harmed by any type of thing. So the point is, the soul always exists. It always exists. It cannot take birth. It's always existing. It's not that it takes birth, and it doesn't end or die or merge into something. There are certain philosophers who say that soul right now is existing, but actually when he attains moksha, he ceases to exist. What happens to him? They say that it merges, like river merges into ocean, like that the soul merges into Brahma. They say this. For that, Prabhupada explains here. Can you read this, Prabhu? The Mayavadi cannot explain.
The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusionary energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul because they are atomic individual souls eternally. Sanatana. They are prone to be covered by the illusionary energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord, just as the spark of fire. Although one in quality with the fire, are prone to extinguish when out of the fire.
So this way we can understand that soul cannot be cut, cannot be harmed, cannot be fragmented in any way. So this actually shows that how this explanation of soul, that is Mayavadi understanding, is false. So even after one becomes liberated, attains moksha, the living entity still remains separate. As told by Krishna earlier, I and you always exist. Even in future, we always exist. We never become merged, and you never lose your existence. Arjuna became liberated, but he never became one with Krishna. Very important to note. This is a very famous misconception. Practically everyone who says that he knows a little about Gita, he spells out this misconception. Practically we too, I too, everyone have that misunderstanding. But Prabhupada says here that we never become one with God. It is not that only weapons are unable to, but the soul itself cannot be harmed. It's not a defect in the weapon, but the soul, the very nature of the soul is it cannot be cut, it cannot be burnt. Achedyo yamadahyoyam.
Achedyo
yama adayam.
Akledyo shoshya evacha.
Akledyo
Nitya sarvagata sthanur.
Nitya sarvagata sthanur.
Achaloyam sanatana.
Achaloyam sanatana.
So the soul cannot be cut. Achedya, adahya, not burnt. Akledya cannot be made wet. Ashoshya cannot be dried. It is eternal, sarvagataha. This is very important quality which is coming. Others came earlier too. Sarvagataha. It is present everywhere. This is one new quality coming here. Please mark it. It is present everywhere. Sarvagataha. It's not that soul is present only on this planet Earth. Or soul is not present in vacuum. It's not present in fire. We say, right? No. That's our incomplete. And Krishna says here, Sarvagataha. There is no part of the universe where souls are not there. Everywhere souls are there. Sarvagataha. Achalaha sthanu. It is fixed. No material thing can force it to function unless it desires so. Can someone else take the turn to read? Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else would like to?
Yes, Prabhuji, I
Not
can.
read so far. Yeah. Please.
The individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same.
Eternally the same. See this word. Of course, there are many qualities which have come. Present everywhere, and it is immovable. Immovable means it's not that soul is just stuck at a place. It's not like that. Like a tree it cannot move. What it means is one cannot force the soul to act unless it itself desires to act. Are you getting this? What does immovable mean for the soul in soul's qualities? Any of you?
That
You cannot force soul to move.
it has a free will.
It has a free will. It cannot force the soul to act. No material agency can force the soul to act unless it itself desires to act. Very interesting. By no material means one can force the soul. So Prabhupada explains some things. Please read the highlighted part. All these qualifications.
All these qualifications of the atomic soul definitely prove that individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole. And he remains the same atom eternally without change. The theory of monism is very difficult to apply in this case because the individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneously.
Homogeneous. Homogeneous means to merge, actually, homogeneously. So the point is this theory of monism or Mayavada, Kaivalyavad, which is strongly proposed by Shankaracharya, where for a very specific purpose. Actually, that's not true, according to Gita. Krishna himself says. So Prabhupada also explains about Sarvagataha. Please read this part.
The word Sarvagataha, all pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that living entities are all over God's creation. They live on the land, in the water and the air, within the earth and even within fire.
Even within fire. So they live everywhere. They believe that, here we have sterilized by fire. There is vacuum here. There is no soul here. There is no living life symptoms in this particular planet. Something which we see from our eyes is not always true, right? So many things in this world we see and we don't follow. There are so many subtler realities. So there is no doubt that there are living entities even on sun planet, moon planet, many planets. So otherwise Krishna would not have told Sarvagata, living everywhere. They have different types of material coverings which we cannot appreciate through our senses. Going ahead, Krishna lists further qualities. As I was telling, these qualities may become a little overwhelming and quite philosophical, So, but nonetheless, try to mark. So what else qualities did we see after the last listing of the qualities? In the earlier shloka, what qualities did we see?
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable, yeah. Insoluble, unbreakable. Yeah. Anything more?
So
Unable to be burned.
maintains the body.
Cannot be burned, cannot be dried,
Cannot be burned.
cannot be
Sarvagata.
moist.
Sarvagata.
Sarvagata, that's important. Present everywhere. And immovable. That's one important quality. Achalaha. Okay, so text 25. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam
Avyaktoyam achintoyam
avikaryoyam uchyate
Avikaryo
Avikaryo uchyate
Tasmadevam viditvainam
tasmadevi viditvainam
nanu shochitumarhasi.
Nanu
nanu sochitum arhasi.
The avyakta means something which we cannot appreciate by our eyes, ears, tongue, and skin. Like it is invisible. It cannot be heard. Can I hear the voice of the soul? You can't hear. Sorry. Can I see? No. Can I touch? No. By our gross senses, we cannot perceive this soul. Achintya means by even our subtle senses, it's inconceivable. I cannot touch it, understand the soul by my mind, by my intelligence. Avikarya, it doesn't change. So very difficult to understand is the soul. See, you can't see it, you can't think about it. It doesn't change. Oh my God. Please read translation.
It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immeasurable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body.
So Prabhupada says very important ways about soul. Actually, sometimes we say, can we prove the existence of soul? Sometimes we come into this kind of questions or discussions. Are there scientific proofs for the existence of soul? Can the soul be verified by some things? Oh, I see something which rises above the body at the time of death. Some rays are coming. Sometimes people make these statements. What does it mean? The infrared camera clicked something. It got some image of something going, some smoky thing, like that. Yeah. So there could be many such observations. It's fine. Whatever supports or things like that you can quote. But know this one very important thing which Prabhupada says here. Read this.
The magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot see even by the most powerful microscopes. Therefore, he is invisible.
Continue.
As far as the soul existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. He have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of soul, although it is fact by perception.
So though we experience, there is something like this. I understand, there is something beyond this body which actually sustains the body. I remember everything which happened when my body was very different. What is it that which has not changed through the phases of the change of body? Soul. And we perceive that, we kind of understand it, but still we cannot properly prove it by any material means. The only proof is that the Prabhupada says here, because Vedas say, Shrutis say, Shastras say. Though, you can give some inference. You see, there are reincarnation studies which show that soul is actually factual. There are so many ways we can try to argue which direct in that direction. There is soul. But nothing can conclusively establish, just see here is. Because there are other people also who can argue against it. They can reason very differently. Is it not? So what is it that is the proof for the soul? That is Shruti or Vedic wisdom. Prabhupada says that the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. Very important quality here coming. The soul is invisible. The soul is inconceivable. It cannot be understood by our gross senses. It cannot be understood by our subtle senses. You know what is subtle senses?
Mind and intelligence.
Mind and intelligence, correct. So neither our gross eyes, ears, nose, tongue can understand it, nor our mind and intelligence can understand it. It is so very beyond. And at the end, Prabhupada says another important feature of the soul, that how soul is infinitesimal. It is so very insignificant. The Supreme Soul is infinite, ananta, infinite, infinity is there. But The soul is so infinitesimal, is so small, practically insignificant. You know? So he can never be compared to the super soul. So like this, Krishna has explained about the soul, following the proper reasoning, quoting from Upanishads many ways. You know, so far we saw so many qualities of the soul, right? In this particular shloka itself, we saw invisible, inconceivable, and how it is infinitesimal, that also. Now, very interestingly, Krishna, he takes the argument opposite. He's so opposite. See how wonderful is the reasoning of Krishna. Okay, if you think that there is no soul, Arjuna, let me talk from that angle. You know, till now Krishna was telling there is soul, and if one accepts the soul, you should fight, Arjuna. Okay, Arjuna, if you don't think that there is soul, if you think that there is nothing like soul, I don't believe in the soul, then also you should fight. You know why? From here Krishna says this. See, you know, very convincingly Krishna is putting it this point. From various angles of vision, he is putting this reasoning. Atha chainam nityajatam
Atha chainam
Nityajatam.
nityajatam
nityam va manyase mritam
nityam
Vamanasya
vamanasya
mritam
tathapi tvam mahabaho
tathapi
tvam mahabaho
nainam shochitum arhasi.
nainam
nainam
shochitum
shochitum
arhasi.
arhasi.
Okay, Arjuna, if you think that we are always taking birth, nitya jatam, and always dying, manyase mritam, we keep taking birth and we keep dying. You know, the body keep taking birth and it dies. So still there is nothing to lament and there is no reason to leave your duty. Please read the translation.
There is always a class of philosopher.
No, translation.
If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life is always born and dies forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed.
Mighty armed Mahabaho. If you think that soul dies and soul takes birth, still you cannot lament. You know, Krishna now here he takes an atheistic viewpoint. You know, something which is against Shastra. He takes from that side, he argues. You know, he wants to put that point of fighting, but everywhere he's taking that vision and then he's explaining. So there are certain people, there is this philosophy of Buddhism proposed by an avatar of Lord Buddha. For a very specific purpose, he spoke this. The philosophy spoken by Buddha is called Shunyavada. Shunyavada. Where it is told that there is no soul, practically. You basically have to enter into voidism, it's called. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Dharine. Prabhupada actually, he established how the truth is not this zero, void, or this Nirvishesha, but actually it's the beautiful reality, Krishna. So this so-called philosophers, similar to Buddhists of today, earlier they were called Lokayatikas or Vaibhashikas. These are technical terms, Prabhupada explains. What it basically says is that, you see, at some point in this world, due to certain situations of, say, TPC, temperature, pressure, and certain conditions like that, the life started evolving from the matter. They sometimes propose this theory called chemical evolution. Prabhupada was asked about it. Does life come from chemicals or matter? Prabhupada told, no, life comes from life. There is a famous book here, it's there, compiled. There are a lot of conversations about it, how life comes from life. Life never comes from matter. In fact, matter comes from life. So this philosophy that body is is a combination of some physical elements. At certain stage, life symptoms develop by interaction of physical elements. It is so very prevalent, actually. It's called as atheism, where there is no sacredness attached to the life. So people who speak this, Krishna is taking from their viewpoint, still there is no reason for you to leave the fighting. Why? Please read this. As in the
Vaibhashika philosophy,
Vaibhashika.
there would still have no cause for lamentation. No one laments the loss of a certain bulk of chemical and stop discharging his prescribed duty.
If you think you are product of some chemicals, you came because of some chemicals reaction and things like that, then why do you lament? Why do you cry when some chemicals are put to loss? They are thrown somewhere and like that. Why do you attest so much of feelings to chemicals? No, that's not the one should take. So according to this theory, Prabhupada says here, read this, since there are
so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there is no need to grieve for such incidents. If there is no rebirth for the soul, Arjuna had no reason to be afraid of being affected by sinful reaction due to his killing his grandfather and teachers.
Very interesting here. See, if there is no soul, then why are you fearful that you will get sin? The soul is going to die, no? Everything is going to end with this life, right? If you think so, why are you fearful of some sinful reaction? That will only be considered if you are going to live after this body, right? In the next life, you're going to get your sin. That's what you say, right? Why are you fearful? If you think that there is no soul, then why are you so hesitant to kill or to waste some chemicals? If the viewpoint is atheistic, so Krishna is pointing out here. So Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabahu. Hey, you are Mahabahu. You have proper intelligence. You should not follow this Vaibhashika theory, which is not accepting the soul. No, you should follow Vedic principles, and Vedic principles say one should fight. Even if you consider there is no soul, still you should fight. That's how Krishna has put it. And later he says the karma line of thinking. One was till now atheistic line of thinking, where there is no soul. Now in this shloka he says karma line of thinking, where they say everything which dies takes birth. Earlier what was told? You take birth and you die. That's it. The karma line of thinking is you take birth, you die. Again you take birth and you die. Take birth and die. Take birth and die. That is karma line of thinking. They keep taking bodies, and they try to increase some enjoyment while taking newer and newer bodies. They may want to go to heavens. They may want to get some very good enjoyment in the next life. That is karma line of thinking. So Krishna speaks that here. Just see what all ways Krishna is putting his resolve here to make Arjuna to fight. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur.
Jatasya hi dhruvo
Dhruvam janma mritasya cha.
Dhruvam janma mritasya cha.
Tasmad apariharyarthe.
Tasmad apariharyarthe.
Natvam shochitum arhasi.
Natvam shochitum arhasi.
If you think, oh Arjuna, that everything which takes birth has to die, jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya, everything which dies has to again take birth. And this cannot be stopped. Keep taking birth, die. They don't have understanding of moksha. Birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. Still you don't have reason to lament and stop your duty. Just see this thing in this few shlokas you might have observed. Practically Krishna is telling this again and again. What is that? Do not lament. Don't do shoka. Don't do shoka. So many times Krishna is saying, Natvam shochitum. Earlier shloka also it said like that, right? Let's see that. Nainam shochitum arhasi. See a shloka before that. 25th. Nanu shochitum arhasi. Are you all able to find this?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
It's so many times coming. Krishna is telling Arjuna, why are you lamenting? If you consider that there is no soul, no reason for you to lament. If you consider that you always keep taking birth and death, no reason for you to lament. If you understand that the soul is eternal, no reason for you to lament. Just see, in all the ways, Krishna is putting this important action. Don't lament. We all lament so many times. Oh, so many things are happening in life. But when we hear proper knowledge, we leave that lamentation. Can someone else take the reading of translation? Thank you, Mataji. Others would like to?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
One
Yes,
who
Prabhu.
has taken his birth is sure to die.
Yeah.
And after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
So you are going to keep taking birth, dying. And this duty, you cannot avoid it. Unavoidable discharge. You should not lament. Prabhupada says here, very interesting. Read the highlighted part, Prabhu.
This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society, keeping law and order.
One cannot say, Arey, everyone who dies will take birth. No problem. So I will go and stab a person or shoot a person. One cannot give that reason. Earlier also we saw this kind of explanation, right? When someone says, oh, what you kill is the body, not the soul. So no problem, you go and harm that body for your selfish purpose. No, Shastra doesn't encourage or approve of it. Similarly here also, unnecessary murder, no. There are some situations where violence and war and harm or murder is allowed, but that's only for law and order maintenance. Read the next part. Why should
Arjuna be afraid or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts, of which he has so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of wrong path of action.
So you will actually degrade if you choose wrongly, Arjuna. Not by fighting you degrade, no. So Krishna further explains a very jnani kind of viewpoint here. Avyaktadini bhutani.
Avyaktani bhutani.
Vyaktamadhyani bharata.
Vyaktamadhyani bharata.
Avyakta nidhananyeva.
Avyaktanidhananyeva.
Tatra ka paridevana.
Tatra ka paridevana.
This last line also same thing. Paridevana means to lament. Why are you lamenting, Arjuna? See, every place this is coming again. What is this line of thought? It is a line of thought wherein a person who is having some jnana about this nature of world, he sees that at one point of time, everything appears. After some time, it falls off. Again, something appears, falls off. Appears, falls off. Like people, they build buildings. You built a very nice 4-story building. At some point of time, the building will collapse. Where did all of that went? It has fallen. But has it got destroyed? No. It is there. They say law of conservation of energy. It has just formed into something not standing tall, right? But it is there. Something again can come up from using that and again fall off. So this is called as avyakta and vyakta. Avyakta means where you don't have any manifestation, visible thing. Vyakta means it manifests or visible. And again it becomes avyakta. like pralaya, srishti, pralaya, srishti. You understand this? This happens repeatedly. So when there is some srishti, there is pralaya again going to come. So why are you actually lamenting that you are going to kill and that person is not going to be there? No. Read the translation, Prabhu. All created beings
unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation?
Lamentation. Anyway, it's all preserved in this logic. There is no loss. Everything is preserved. Prabhupada says here, accepting
that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in existence of the soul and other not believing in the existence of the soul. There is no cause of lamentation in either case.
In either case, whether you accept that there is soul or whether you accept there is no soul, still there is no cause for lamentation. Prabhupada tells that same thing. There is manifestation and non-manifestation. From the non-manifestation, things manifest. The whole srishti happens by that. And at one point of time, it becomes unmanifest because of pralaya. For example, he tells the example of the building. There is some building which is erected. After some time, it is dismantled. You make it fall. But everything is preserved. Why are you lamenting? Things are not lost in this kind of thinking, this line of thought, this jnani line of thought. So, like this, one can see from various viewpoints, and yet Krishna is telling Arjuna, you should fight, you should do your duty, and do not lament. Very important here. So, like this, we are actually coming to the last part of this explanation of jnana or sankhya. What is this actually showing? That this body is temporary. It's not false in that sense, but it is temporary. It is going to meet its end at some point. So understanding this, a person should actually take to self-realization. Who am I? Am I this body which is going to meet its end, which is going to be destroyed? Am I going to be destroyed? When we think that we are body, we are fearful. We lament. Oh, I'm going to be destroyed. I'm going to be killed. Is it not? It is so very deep in us, is it not? That we fear, we lament. Whenever we have that feeling, we can have this question. What am I fearful of? About body? Mostly about body. Always about the body, right? When I'm fearful, what is it about I'm fearful of? My body, are things which are related to the body, and they are having that nature. We cannot change that. By lamenting, am I going to make body eternal? Am I going to change the nature? No. So what is the wise or sane thing to do? Do your duty. Very important. In our understanding of the world or interactions in the world, what is it that we should always hold on to? Duty. Because duty is given by Shastra. Duty is given by God. We should do it. Sometimes we feel very uncomfortable while doing our duties. Sometimes we become very happy while doing our duties. No matter what is the feeling, do one's duty. That is the thrust of explaining this Sankhya. The soul, what are the nature or qualities of the soul? Yeah. But what is the final lesson Krishna gives? Do not lament, do your duty. Very clear terms Krishna says. And now he says, Arjuna, you might be wondering, like all of us are so very feeling dizzy or difficult to appreciate this knowledge of soul. So Krishna also empathizes with us. Oh, this is so difficult. He says, it's so very mystical. Wonderful is the soul. Means people cannot truly, fully understand about the soul. They always are amazed at the soul. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam.
Ascharyavat pashyati kashidenam.
Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya.
आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव
तथैव
चान्यः
चान्या
आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति
आश्चर्यवच्चैनं
आश्चर्यवच्चैनम् अन्यः
शृणोति
शृणोति
श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्
श्रुत्वापि येनं वेद नैव
विषयेण
चैव
कश्चित्
So
कश्चित्.
Ashcharya is coming again. Na? Ashcharya means amazing. Prabhupada translates this shloka very nice. Read this, Prabhu.
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all.
So here is the soul. Here are we who are trying to understand the soul, and we are either looking, or touching something we want to understand the soul with. So we see the soul as amazing. Or some people look amazingly at the soul. Or some amazing people can understand the soul. It's not just a play of words, there are deep meanings in it. Our Acharyas explain here. But nonetheless, Prabhupada says how the soul itself as the object is amazing. What does it mean? It means that how soul, though very so small, read this, Prabhu. The fact that atomic soul is, what is it that amazes about the soul? Here it is explained. The fact that
body.
Hare Krishna. Please read.
Billion. Very amazing.
Please continue.
Hare Krishna.
Are you able to hear me, Prabhu? I think I lost maybe connection. Is it clear?
No, Prabhuji, we can't hear him.
We can't hear
Hare-
Srinivas Prabhuji.
Maybe
Hare
internet
Krishna.
network situation.
Network situation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Am I audible? Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Yes, Prabhuji, you are audible.
Okay. So, what is it that is amazing about the soul? Prabhupada told here. And someone recollect what was that which we read just now?
The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing.
So the point is, the soul is not changing in its size. It's practically, you cannot understand its size only, right? All the souls are by nature similar. Now, that same soul, it is there in a very small microbe, which is so very small. It is there even in a big tree or a big, say, shark or whale or like that. It is making such big bodies move. How is it so? It's amazing. So what is it that makes people don't understand the soul? Here are some highlighted parts. I have highlighted certain things. One thing is a poor fund of knowledge. And when people are not austere, they cannot understand the wonders of the spirit or the soul. That's the first thing Prabhupada highlights. Another thing is when a person has a gross material conception of things, he sees everything as matter, material conception. A third way is when a person is illusioned by Maya, material energy. He's so engrossed in sense gratification. He's so busy. His whole efforts is just about how I can get more and more happiness. And in that sense, he hardly bothers to understand about soul. He's so covered over by the Maya, material energy, that he doesn't have interest or impetus to understand soul, because sense gratification covers him. Just see what all makes a person not understand about soul. Another thing, now people, okay, somebody may be interested to know about the soul, but very important obstacle comes here. Read this, Prabhu. Some people
who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to the ignorance, they are misguided by the acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of the magnitude.
One of the greatest blunders which people do in understanding about soul is this, that they think there are two souls, but those two souls become one. The soul and super soul become one. That's a mistake. That's a misconception. That's a blunder. So how can one understand truly about the soul? By reading Bhagavadgita, which is spoken by Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord himself. So to take to Bhagavad-gita, one needs that Sukriti. One needs to have that Sukriti which is gained by the mercy of pure devotees. So when one has that, by that acceptance of Gita, the word of Lord, one appreciates this knowledge of soul. Otherwise, it's practically, people feel, Arey, what are you talking? This is so very abstract. We cannot understand it. How does it help? Like that, people may argue about the soul. They will not truly accept the soul like that. So in this particular purport, we see how difficult it is to understand about soul. People just wonder, wow, very nice, but they truly don't know about soul. And how can one truly understand the soul? By accepting Gita, the word of Lord. Concluding this section, Krishna ends the most philosophical section of Gita with this shloka. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam.
Dehi nityam
Dehe nityam avadyoyam.
Dehe sarvasya bharata.
Dehe sarvasya bharata.
Tasmat sarvani bhutani.
Tasmat sarvani bhutani.
Bhutani.
Natvam shochitum arhasi.
Natvam shochitum arhasi.
So here comes the conclusion of this particular section, where Krishna is saying, Dehi nityam. Dehi means? You saw, no? What is Dehi?
Soul.
No, not body.
Body.
It means soul, one who stays in the body. Dehi means soul, and Deha means body. So Dehi is nityam, avadhyoyam. He cannot be killed. Vadha means to kill. Avadhya means one who cannot be killed. Nitya means he is eternal. So know that this body is Nitya and Avadhya, and Deha, Dehi is present in the body everywhere. Dehe sarvasya bharata. And one who knows this properly will not lament. This line came so many times in this particular section of shlokas. Natvam shochitam, nayanam shochitam. No lamentation. Read the translation.
The Lord now, O dissident of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
So this purport, Prabhupada practically summarizes the earlier such a big section about the soul and body difference. Please pay attention. We can read the entire purport. Please read.
The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna is Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body. Not that there is no such thing as a soul, or that leaving symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity, resulting from interaction of chemicals. The soul is immortal. Violence is not encouraged. But the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is an actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously.
Capricious means to think on one's own whimsically like that. So this section of Gita, which is actually about Sankhya or Jnana, the difference between soul and body, it is summarized in this purport. Prabhupada told so many important points. Soul is immortal, body is temporary. So on the authority of Krishna, accept that there is a soul different from the body. It doesn't change. And this soul is immortal doesn't mean it encourages violence. But when there is need, one will have to do, especially when Arjuna has the duty of violence, that is fighting, he has to do it. So like this, there are so many qualities of soul we have seen. Quickly, let us recollect so that we don't forget it. We will move on from this section to ahead now. Please quickly recollect the nature of the soul from beginning, from the shloka number 11 actually. Anyone?
Eternal, individual.
Eternal, individual.
Cannot be changed.
Cannot be changed. Okay.
Reside within the body.
Yeah, reside within the body.
And pervade of consciousness.
Yeah, okay. It's understood by consciousness. Pervades everywhere. Yeah, correct.
We cannot measure it.
Yeah, we cannot cut it or cannot cause changes in it.
It
also
be
can
destroyed.
contribute.
Avinashi.
Avinashi.
Sarvagata.
Yes. Sarvagata. What does Sarvagata mean?
Living everywhere.
It present everywhere.
Present everywhere. Very good. Then
you cannot force soul to move.
You cannot force it. It's fixed.
Movable.
Immovable. Very good, bro. Yes. Anything more?
Dehantara.
Dehantara. The change of body.
Can't be heard.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Tell.
One doubt. Could you tell me again homogeneously, Prabhuji?
Homogeneous means merging of soul with super soul. That is not happening. That's not a reality. But some believe like that, right? That's why Prabhupada says it doesn't become a homogeneity or it doesn't mix with the super soul.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. What else are the qualities? Did we miss out on any? Did we miss out on any?
Everything is covered.
Everything is covered. Okay, let me just show us. I just saw this list very nicely made through the purports actually. I'm just showing it up here. Eternal, individual, unborn. Prabhu, read this bold ones, that's it. Not the entire. Soul is third point.
Indestructible. Soul is immeasurable.
Immeasurable.
Soul never undergoes changes. Soul is steady, immutable, cannot be cut, burnt, dried, or wet. Immovable, unchangeable, everlasting, and eternally the same. Position of soul situated in the reason of the heart, present everywhere, sarvagata, and how to perceive the soul. Soul is invisible and inconceivable. Symptom of the soul.
That's consciousness. Then
only proof for the soul.
That is
Shruti.
Shruti, scriptures. Yes. Then
influence of soul.
For influence of soul, we saw two analogies. One is about the soul, sun, and also about the medicine, like this. And of course, the soul is practically balanced by the life airs. There was also a description about that.
operation?
Sorry, Prabhu?
Influence of soul, you have told that two analogy, Prabhuji. Two principles. Second is surgical.
Surgery. That is for the use of violence in a proper spirit. One in knowledge, he uses violence. For that, we saw the judge, justice of peace, and that surgery, that Prabhupada explains.
Effects of life airs on the soul.
Like this. Yeah. So like this, there is a wealth of information or explanation about the soul given in the verses and by Prabhupada in the purports. So after explaining about the viewpoint of soul, now Krishna, he practically destroys that argument of being compassion at the body. That argument is defeated. You cannot save the body. What you can regard is for the soul, and you do your duties. Don't lament that, oh, you're going to harm the body of Bhishma, Drona. No, they are anyway going to be destroyed. Better you give them good bodies. In the next life, they will get good bodies. Why are you lamenting, oh Arjuna? Be compassionate for the soul, not for the drowning man's dress. Do you remember this? We saw this at the very beginning of the chapter. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. So after explaining this, now Krishna, he goes to address the second reason of Arjuna. What was the second reason? Second reason of Arjuna for not fighting.
Loss of their life.
Loss of enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
Oh, I will not be able to enjoy if I kill them. Whom I will share my opulence and enjoyment with. So he explains that with the help of what is called Swadharma or Karma Kanda. That's going to come. We will see that in the next session. That's a small section, but very interesting section. Very important to understand that too. So today we saw the shlokas which explain the difference between body and soul. And Krishna gave a wonderful philosophy, very deep philosophy. We revised it too at the end. Thank you very much. I wish all of you a very happy Srimati Radharani's Festival of Mercy, Radharashtrami. May Srimati Radharani bless us all with the opportunity to serve her lotus feet, her devotees, and please them. And appreciate this knowledge for that attitude of service. Thank you very much. I end the session here. If you have any questions, I'm here for maybe a few minutes. Otherwise, maybe we can go ahead for tomorrow's festival, arrangements or preparations, getting ready for that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavadgita ki jai.
Ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. We will meet next Monday.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.